everybody, welcome to another video. In this one what we're going to be doing is pulling things out of this VCMM kit. It is just a basic kit, one that most dealers should probably have. You can get a more advanced one. We don't need to go into that for what we are going to be doing in the lab coming up, but this is just going to be sort of an overview video of the different bits and pieces that are in the kit and kind of how they work. I hope to have a follow-up video where we talk about, where we actually demonstrate VCMM operation on a vehicle. But for right now, we'll start with this. This is how the kit comes, all nicely packaged in this little case here. I'm going to get everything out and run through the pieces one by one and show you how it all works. Alright, now that we've got everything out here, we can take a look at the bits and pieces and see how they work. First things first, we have our VCMM, the Vehicle Communication and Measurement Module. This replaces the old school VMM. It was like a black sort of horseshoe kind of box thing, which was complementing the VCM, the VCM1 I think at that point it was, and they came out with the VCM2. VMM has gone away, we don't really use it anymore. I don't think it's even really supported anymore. This is the new hotness. So this is an oscilloscope, a scan tool, and a multimeter, essentially, all in one. It can generate signals. If you get the advanced kit, you can hook up fuel pressure testing and stuff like that to it. So it does a whole bunch of different things. Pretty handy dandy. Not everybody's going to have one. They are kind of expensive, and they're not a mandatory tool, at least not yet. Pretty standard DLC cable. It is a 4-channel, pretty standard. It is standard. That's the law. It is a 4-channel oscilloscope. It is actually technically a 5-channel oscilloscope, but you can only measure your CAN network, your high-speed CAN network, on this. So this channel, this DLC connector, is actually a channel as well, but you can't do anything else with it. So 4 channels for measuring, 5 if you include a network channel. It is wireless. You do have the ability to go wireless if you wanted. Apparently the wireless has been upgraded from what it was on the VCM2, I believe. I don't necessarily trust wireless. I like wired just because that's what works. Another thing I have noticed is that when you connect to the computer, you can't go through a hub on these. You have to connect directly to the computer. Not a big problem if you're out in the trade, but something I noticed when we were in the lab. You can't run through a hub. It doesn't like it. So that's the new box. Pretty cool. Pretty cool tool. Pretty useful tool. Next, let's start with the wires. I guess we'll start with the basics. So, like I said, 4 channels. You got your red, your blue, your green, and your yellow. Nice thing about the VCMM is when, let's do blue because it's still wrapped up. Of course, like always, as soon as you unwrap the cables, they spaghetti themselves. It's just, I guess that's the rule of automotive, or of any cables, really. Anyway, so nice thing about the VCMM is when you have it all hooked up and running, when you plug in your cable, so let's say I got the blue one here, when you plug it in to a channel, any channel, could be channel 1, could be channel 3, doesn't matter, it will take on the color of that channel, or that wire, right? So that channel becomes that wire color. Makes it real nice when you're diagnosing stuff and you got wires sort of spaghettied all over the car. You don't have to worry too much. If you remember, I plug blue into my cam sensor, that blue signal is up on the screen. It's there, right? That's your cam sensor, right? Pretty beefy wires, pretty long wires. They have 2 ends, if you'll notice. 3, technically, if you include that end, but we can't do anything with it. 2 ends, if you notice. This has a couple purposes. One, when you're measuring a signal, you'll plug this end into whatever you're trying to measure. You will then plug this end into ground. You'll put I'll show you the connectors. You'll put a connector on an alligator clip and connect it to ground. That is one way to do it. That just cleans up the signal. Make sure you have a nice signal going to the oscilloscope. It's not all chunky and wavy and crappy. The other thing you can do with this is, well, you could gang them too, right? You have multiple channels. You can put multiple channels on one connector on one ground. The other use for this ground side cable is if you are generating a signal. So the oscilloscope has a signal generator function. It can do a sine wave, a square wave, a triangle wave, do a whole bunch of stuff. Useful for diagnosis if you want to make sure that your module is actually seeing an input, if you want to check your wires or your module, right, the calculations inside the module. So on this one, what you would do on the VCMM, which is kind of unique, I believe, you can generate a signal out this side and then plug this end in to the module, so back probe at the module, and it will see, on channel 2, it will see what you're generating. And if they match, well, then you know everything's okay with your wiring. If they don't match, you know you got a problem with your wiring. So pretty handy there with the double ends. 4 wires, 4 colors. Let's move into the back probes, because these things are pretty cool also. Don't have to use any paper clips or any of that business. They give you a whole whack of back probes, different sizes, different shapes. If you want to probe, you can't see that. If you want to probe, it's got little flat blade ones, it's got little pokey ones, right? Different styles, male and female. So if you want to back probe into connectors, it has a whole bunch. They just clip in. I guess I can do a demo for you. Sure, why not? In case you don't know. They just clip in nice and easy into the back of your probe, right? So in you go, back probe, and you got a signal going to the VCMM. That they don't want to come out. Also have a selection of alligator clips, not in this one, in the next one. So a nice little package of back probes, so you don't have to go and grab the giant paper clips and start shoving them in everywhere trying to get a signal. Comes with one. Don't be poking wires with these, right? We want to avoid poking wires as much as possible, because that just creates another path for corrosion. Another thing that VCMM has, which is actually really handy, is a selection of multimeter leads. So these are capped to protect them, but they're just regular old little multimeter leads. You can plug them into your probes, get measurements at different spots if you want, as well as alligator clips if you want to grab various components. Big alligator clips if you want to grab onto a ground or something like that, or a power in order to do stuff. Also color coded, which makes them real nice. And that keeps everything sort of neat and organized and easy to use. So your standard, those are your standard sort of cables and wires. The VCMM does have the ability to be powered by a vehicle battery. So normally it gets its power through the DLC connector, right? Just like the VCM, or the VCM2 I should say. But if you wanted to use a VCMM in standalone mode, as like a standalone oscilloscope, maybe you're bench testing a component or something, I don't know. You plug this onto vehicle battery, right? Plug that in, and you can power up the VCMM the VCMM without a vehicle, without having to have a vehicle, which is pretty handy in certain cases. Next thing it's got, and this is another super powerful tool that is just amazing with the VCMM, is a vibration analyzer. So this is a vibration sensor, or accelerometer, they call it. But you plug it in, you would put this on the frame rail, right, of the driver's seat. It's normally where you'd feel vibrations. Could move it around, but frame rail is the best place for it. It actually tells you put it on the frame rail. What it will do is it will sense vibration, and it's really, 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 really sensitive. It will be able to pick up a wheel vibration, engine vibration, drive shaft imbalance, right? So it's got a significant, I would say that's probably one of its best features, is the vibration. If you were going to get it, if you're dealing with a lot of vibration complaints, I would push for the dealer to grab a VCMM just for this, just for the vibration analyzer, because it will pinpoint, I mean, if you measure, talking about vibration, if you measured all the pulleys in the engine, it would pinpoint which pulley. If you had an engine vibration, it would pinpoint which pulley is vibrating. So super powerful tool. Comes with one of these in the basic kit. Don't need the advanced kit. Another one it's got is a temperature probe. Just a regular old little temperature probe if you want to see temp of something. Put it on things, put it in things, right? You want to measure coolant temp, fuel temp, I don't know. Whatever you want to measure. I don't think I've ever used a temperature probe before in the trade, but who knows? You might need it. Could be handy in some cases. This thing, inductive loop. This, oddly enough, is used to drive a timing light. So if you're looking for a drive shaft imbalance, it doesn't come with a timing light, the kit doesn't come with one, but you could plug this in, generate a signal, right, and it would run a timing light off of this inductive loop, and you would use that when you're doing drive shaft balancing. The VCMM has a whole setup just for drive shaft imbalance. It has a bunch of stickers inside. I don't have that part of the kit with me, but it has a whole bunch of stickers and stuff like that inside it that you stick on the drive shaft. A couple of hose clamps I even think it has. Maybe you have to get those yourself. I don't remember. But so you'd use this to drive a timing light to perform that operation, perform a drive shaft imbalance. Pretty cool. Another thing it's got, I remember I mentioned that the VCMM is a signal generator. So this is just another regular probe. It's got a button on it to tell it to take a measurement. You can use it just for voltage, right? Power and ground measurements, that's okay. I think it has an LED on it too, somewhere. Yeah, there is. But it's also used to drive components, right? So if you have a signal generator, you plug this into channel 1, and this would then generate an output signal, okay? A sine wave, square wave, whatever. So you could use this big connector or connect it to some of your smaller ones, right, and drive a signal. So this is what that is for. You could use it for regular voltage and resistance checks, but you have your smaller probes for that as well too. So don't necessarily have to use it. It's primarily for the signal generator function. You're sending a signal to a component or to a wire or to a module, something like that. Also comes with 2 amp clamps, 0 to 500. This would be if you're looking at battery voltage or like battery cranking, that kind of stuff. I'm going to have an example of that coming up. But so a bigger amp clamp, looking for bigger amperages. Nice because you don't have to go in line. You're not, when you're measuring amperage, remember you got to do it in series. You're not damaging or actually putting a meter in harm's way, right? Nice inductive amp clamp. Actually buy these for your multimeters. I would recommend it if you're worried about buying fuses. You can get an inductive amp clamp for just regular old multimeter. It plugs right in. And then a smaller one as well, 0 to 50 amp. This one is really nice for parasitic draw. Right? If you're trying to find a low parasitic draw, 0 to 50 amps, this would be a perfect one. That one kind of works as well, but it's a bit too big. This one is a bit finer. Give you a bit of a better measurement. So if you're looking for a parasitic draw, remember, looking for 50 milliamps. So it's a small draw. This is nice. Hook it into the VCMM. VCMM, the nice thing about it is it has the ability to record overnight. So you could hook this all up, leave this on the car, right? Go home, right? Come back in the morning, and then check your recording and see if at any point in time did something wake up to cause a parasitic draw on your battery, on your vehicle electrical system. So just a couple components that come in the basic kit. I did grab the more advanced kit just because it has like some fuel stuff in it and some more inductive pickups for ignition coils and stuff like that. But the basic kit will get you through most diagnostic scenarios. All right, and that's it. That's everything. Hope you liked it. Hope it helped a little bit. Gave you a little bit of insight into what's in the VCMM. Maybe you can send this video to your boss and be like, yo, look at all this cool stuff that we can use to diagnose vehicles. I will see you around.